Let's go!
It's not what you think!
Hey, welcome. I'm Scotty.
And I'm Mikey.
And this is
SNM Sportz. That's right. Welcome, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good morrow. Good day to you. Happy Friday. The weekend is coming. And welcome. Thanks so much for joining us, folks. We appreciate that.
Yes.
We're into part number 2 of our 4-part series for our fantasy football preview for 2018.
Yeah. You guys taking notes?
You should, but before we get to that, let's get to this. And this week's alcohol sponsor is Tecate.
I always thought it was Tecate. My bad.
It's that Midwestern in here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's crack it up and see how their beer sounds when it opens up. Ready? And 1, 2, 3. Yum, yum. So cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
Ah, yes. So what a wonderful beer. Oh, yes. Tecate is very smooth. I got to say, Tecate is very smooth. We actually had it this past weekend. There's a big birthday party that was held here at Casa del Amberg. And so we got some Tecate to bring in the festivities for the Leo season and all their birthdays. And thanks to Ma for getting us the Tecate. So we wanted to show them off today. So we went south of the border. There, they call it football. We call it football, but it's two different sports. But it's the same beer no matter where you're drinking it, in Mexico or in the United States. So I want to give it up to Tecate this week.
Yeah, thank you, Tecate. Quenching my thirst.
Let's cozy up in our koozies.
Yeah. A lucky fantasy football koozie.
That's right. Well, they better be lucky for that's for sure. So as usual, I like to start it off because I like to run my mouth. And it's Mikey, G-Money starts for the week. And really, all I want to talk about with fantasy football is don't forget to have fun. Fantasy football, it's a game. Yes, if there's money in the pot and you could possibly win, some folks play for a few dollars, some play for thousands of dollars in the league. But please, just don't forget that this is fun. It's a game. Just like football is a game, basketball is a game. So if you want to pick Jacksonville's defense because that is your team and you want to take them in the third round because you don't want to miss out on getting them, then take them in the third round. You're going to get crap for it, but take them because you want them. Because that's what this is all about, is having fun. So don't forget to have fun in this game because I know I have fun. Although I kind of go from the side of it's no fun if you lose, but that's why I work so hard, and that's why we do this show. That's why we, take notes and do all our research, and want to share that with you in our winning ways. Because really, in the end, though, don't forget, it's all about fun.
Exactly, and don't tweet these players. Hey, you cost me my fantasy football this week. They don't care, really. You gonna blame them? You should have drafted somebody else. Blame yourself.
All right, so in this episode of our fantasy football preview, we are highlighting the wide receivers.
Yep, one of my favorite positions, the prima donna position.
Yes, they are. They are. You know what? I think that's one thing we hadn't mentioned, Scotty, but the one good thing the NFL has done the last few years is allow the players to celebrate.
Right.
And I think the celebrations that we saw last year...
I think it's bringing the teams together, too, with the team celebrations. They're doing the Duck, Duck, Goose and Leapfrog and stuff like that.
No matter what it is. And I think that's one thing that has been great. And so it's exciting when folks score a touchdown because you see what are they going to do. Right. And these guys, they're practicing this stuff, too.
Yeah, exactly. They know they're going to score. That's how confident they're practicing their touchdown dances.
And so we love that. So I'm excited to see, what the best of the touchdown celebrations will be for this coming season 2018. Yep. And so on to our wide receivers. So a quick overview of the draft strategy is first you got to know your league. Scotty broke this down for us last time.
Yeah, you got to know your rules. Know the scoring system.
How many players you're starting? You're starting 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a tight end, kicker. You do a flex.
How many people are going to be on your bench? But know your rules.
Got to know your rules. And then really the number one thing beyond that, once you know your rules, is watch football. Watch as much football as you possibly can. obviously
I know
you're
it's
gonna
like
watch your
pulling
team.
teeth watching football. It's like, really, I gotta go to the dentist office again. I gotta watch this football game. Really, watch football. Just watch.
But that's where NFL Network comes in for you. They will chop down a game into 1 hour. They'll cut out all the plays that don't really matter. And when they do skip a play, they'll put on the bottom that they skipped it and why they did it. You can really, if you DVR, you can watch a game in 45 minutes.
And if you don't have like Red Zone or NFL Ticket, even your local games on whatever it is, they show highlights of scoring plays every so often too. And then obviously the halftime of that game, they show pretty much all the scoring plays.
Yep.
So I mean, as long as you're watching a game, you're doing your homework.
That's right. And then the next part of the homework is reading. If you're active on Twitter, that's where most of the writers and most of the folks that really are the source for where we get our information from, and then we decide for ourselves, is Twitter. Matthew Berry obviously is the men of men when it comes to fantasy football, but there's tons of fantasy football sites, NFL.com, Bleacher Report, The Score, ESPN Fantasy, Yahoo Fantasy, wherever you are, just read. When you have some downtime, whenever that is, because most of us have kids and we've got lives and jobs and wives and girlfriends and all those kind of things. So fantasy football can kind of get in the way of life sometimes. So use your time wisely, but you got to use your time. You got to do it. You have to do your research.
Yeah.
And then the next part of the research is, Scotty.
Yeah, you got to know the injury report. You got to know that waiver wire, the guy. The next man up, the NMU. You want to be prepared.
Definitely, always got to be prepared. And the last part of the draft strategy and the strategy for the year is find a guru. One of my gurus is sitting next to me, so I appreciate that. Another one is Tom Ripley, who I was in his league. I won his league, and he's been in mine and hasn't won my league or his league yet, but he's still my guru. Find that person, whatever that voice is, because we can be that voice for you. And if it's not us, but find somebody, whoever that is. And the way I approach it is I'll text Scotty, Sunday morning, Scotty, I've got these wide receivers and I need to start 2. Who would you start? Find that guru in your life who's going to help you out, and then take their advice. Because if you're going to seek out their advice, take their advice. And if they start leading you astray, then find somebody else, and maybe they're not the actual guru. Trust us, because we're the gurus in your life. All right, so that's our draft strategy. So on to the draft order for the wide receivers. Now, obviously, there's a lot of wide receivers out there, and you really want to stack as many of those wide receivers on your bench as possible, along with your starters, because this is the one position that you really have to look at on a week by week, unless you have Julio Jones or Antonio Brown or
Mike
Evans, who you're going to start every week. It's that number 2 slot or that flex is where you really have to look to stream those guys. And so you got to do all your research so you know who's got the best matchup, who's got the easiest cornerback matchup, who has the toughest cornerback matchup. So this is really a position I feel you've got to stream in that sense throughout your bet. Yep. So you really got to stay on top of it.
It's definitely a key position, and they can make or break your team.
They definitely can. So this is kind of the way we broke down. So this is our tier 1 wide receivers. We actually, for the wide receiver, we have 4 tiers since there's so many. But really quick, as you're looking at this on the screen, if you see to the right of those names, you see numbers 1 and a few 2s on here. So what we did is we put in off the depth charts for each team who's their number 1, who's the number 2, and who's the number 3 wide receiver. You definitely want to know that when you're drafting. You want to search out those number 1s first and foremost.
Yeah, ideally, yeah.
Definitely.
You want a number 1 receiver on the team to be your number 1 receiver.
Exactly, and then also you see to the next to a few players like Odell Beckham, Allen Robinson. They're coming off injuries from last year. Whenever a player is coming off an injury from the previous year, I always personally downgrade them for the coming year, just because you never know what you're going to get. So this is our board for our top 20. So I think the first thing that I want to point out, if you haven't noticed yet, is where is Antonio Brown on our list? He is not a tier 1 quarterback on our cheat sheet. And here's why.
Madden curse. Dun, dun, dun.
There it is, folks. I'm afraid of it. It scares me.
It's pretty much never failed. I don't think it's failed.
It hasn't yet. Now, we're not wishing anything bad, but we're playing the odds.
And
that's what you need to do in fantasy football. You play the odds, you play the numbers, you research, and you make decisions based on that. And so for me, if you're drafting him and you're tier 1 as your number 1, I feel it truly is a mistake just for that alone. Forget about how low we have Ben Roethlisberger on our QB list. Forget about that. Le'Veon Bell is the number 1 player in fantasy football this year playing for his next contract. Just the fact that he's on that cover scares me to death.
Yep.
So we obviously have, DeAndre Hopkins number 1, Julio Jones 2, ODJ is 3, and it kind of goes from there. OBJ is number 3. But that's why you don't see him on the list. And then, so anything else, Scott, that you feel kind of jumps out in this tier 1 as far as people that you feel might not perform at a tier 1 level, or or should be higher up in the list?
You see, Juju is up higher as a number 2. He's the highest number 2 on the board, and that goes hand in hand with Antonio Brown having the curse. Because if for some reason, which it might, we're not hoping, that means Juju's number 1, and Ben's got to throw to somebody, and Juju's the next man up.
Yep, next man up. That's right. That's what it's all about.
So that's intriguing. Yeah, seeing him as the 9th overall.
When you're looking at your tier 1, this is really guys that you're drafting that are going to be your number 1, and you're going to draft every week. So on to our tier 2. Now, one thing you kind of notice is you got the IRs next to the guy, but also Julian Edelman has got the S4. Don't forget, he's suspended for the first 4 games this season, which, if he wasn't suspended, he'd easily be in our top 10 this year. Yeah. He's the number 1 for Brady when he's on the field.
Yeah, his favorite target.
Yeah, but unfortunately, you're going to miss out on the first 4 weeks. And really, fantasy generally only goes to, 13 weeks in the playoffs, go 14, 15. So you're really missing him out for like 20% of your season, a quarter, right? So you have to, you're going to draft the guy if he's there, but you're going to draft him in the right place and get the return on that pick. And that's the biggest thing that you can do here. So, all right, guys, so on a tier 2, is anybody else that you feel is, going to outperform where we have them or underperform from where they're at?
You got to look at those San Fran wide receivers. You see you got Goodwin, Marquise Goodwin at 27, and you got Pierre Garçon at 40. And you got Garoppolo over there in another situation where there's only one ball to throw, but either one of these guys could easily be higher than they're ranked here, and just because out of quarterback play, and if Garoppolo favors one of these guys, he could be a steal wherever you get him. Whether it be Garçon at 40, which is, I really like Pierre Garçon, and I would take him as, I would love to have him as my 3rd wide receiver on my team, and just because I really think Garoppolo raises his
value.
His value,
yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. Thank you. And so, but if you like Goodwin better, and Goodwin's younger, and either way, I like those. Having one of those two. Obviously you don't want both.
Yes, and that's really why we put both these guys as tier 2, because there's upside here. We don't feel they're not elite yet, because really the elite, tier 1 wide receivers are proven. They've been in the league long enough where we've seen enough of what they can and cannot do to be deserving of that tier 1. Where in the tier 2, it's that upside where they could get to that point if the quarterback play is where it needs to be an elite status to then bring them up to that level. But that's why it's kind of interesting too, is that we got 2 San Francisco guys in this tier 2 because of that, because it's like they're right there, and it just takes that one of those guys to break out and bump up, and all of a sudden they're top 15.
Yeah.
So we get on to tier 3, and good thing is there's no guys coming off of IR on this list. Really, this list is made up of a bunch of tier 2 and tier 3 wide receivers, because that's really where you should be. But funny enough, the 2 number 1s on this list, one of them is Alan Hearns, the number one in Dallas, which really he's the defunct,
Right.
whatever you want to call it.
That's
He
true.
just happens to be the number one because he's really the best wide receiver on that team. But we talk about Dak, and he's a bust this year as far as we're concerned.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be drafted in the top 20 quarterbacks. The other one is Marquise Lee. He's on Jacksonville,
And he's basically a defunct number one because Robinson went over to the Bears and Hearns went to the
Dallas.
Cowboys, and who was left in Jacksonville?
Yep.
Marquise Lee.
And Bortles is still there.
Right.
It'd be exciting to see.
And they're a run-first team, so.
Oh, yeah, with Fournette. That's why I'm excited for this to be Bortles last year. And it really should be Bortles last year because then we see what Lamar Jackson can do with that team. His passer rating has been horrible. His completion percentage is below every other quarterback that was taken in the first round, which is why we've got their number one quarterback, in Tier 3, because we don't like Bortles, and their backups just aren't where they need to be yet.
Right.
But really, so once you get into Tier 3, this is where you're really looking for those guys with tons of upside, those flyers, those people that you're picking that have somewhat proved themselves. We've seen some numbers in them, but they haven't really gotten to that point yet where we feel like we can trust them every week. And that's just really what you're getting in Tier 3.
Right. You got a rookie there in Calvin Ridley, and that guy can light up a field, but he's behind, Julio and
then Mohamed Sanu. Yeah.
So
you got provens, but then you never know. I mean, if somebody steps up in that third position and start playing well, Matt Ryan's going to find you.
Yeah, you can only double cover a couple, you can't really double cover a couple guys.
Yeah,
and if
can't.
you do, you're leaving Ridley open, or you're leaving Sanu open, or you're leaving Julio open, pick your poison.
Exactly. One guy that we left on here, we know he doesn't have a team yet, but I feel he will by either the start of the season or within a few weeks, because unfortunately injuries are just the reality of the game, and it happens at every position, is Des Bryant. He tried out for the Cleveland Browns, did a workout for them, but didn't sign. I don't know why. We talked about him weeks ago, and we're just...
Thought he was going to go to the Browns.
Yeah.
Really, but he's going to end up on the team. He's too good not to. I know the Patriots released Kenny Britt, and
that's right, they did.
But they don't seem to have any interest in him, and but that's the Patriots. Patriots don't do things that you think they would do.
Right, and then they win championships, and it just racks your brains at how do they do it every year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but he's going to end up on a team. He's too talented not to.
Definitely. So that's what you're looking for in your Tier 3 wide receivers. And once you get to the Tier 4, this is really what we would call the flyers. Those guys that you're going to draft late because you want to. Because
maybe your fourth or fifth guy.
Oh yeah.
And maybe your sixth guy. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully he's not your 2 or 3. And but it's a possibility. It could end up that way depending on how many teams are in your league and all that.
And one guy that's on this list that's really a number 2 behind Keenan Allen, and Phillip Rivers, which we talked about in the last episode, is really being drafted too late for where we feel he's going to end up, is Mike Williams. And so that's a guy where you look at where he's proven, he's got some years in the league, he showed that he can do it, and with a quarterback like Rivers who likes to throw, and then again a solid running back, this could be a guy that you want to look for later on. When you're trying to stash those guys in your bench. Right,
yeah. And if you can get a diamond in the rough and he's your 5th guy and then all of a sudden he's just busting out this year, and then he's your number 2.
I mean, that's the same way with like Willie Snead. We've got him down here right now at 83. He's the 3rd wide receiver, on New Orleans. I mean, that's a pass first team.
Drew Brees over there for sure.
Yeah. Definitely the pass first
team. But they got a good running game too. So
man,
they
have 2 number 1s. If Ingram was suspended the first 4 games, then Kamara would not be drafted as high as he is.
Right.
But the fact that Ingram is out those first 4 games, I think Kamara's going to take over that position. But then you've got 2 really solid running backs, along with a great passing game. And I mean, that to me,
yeah, they're potent over there.
You know, they just need the defense to, you know, be better than what they've been for years and years.
They've been improving, though.
Yes, no, that is true. They definitely been improving. And like Martavis Bryant, you know, he's stuck at number 3 in Oakland, but that's because he's having a hard time picking up the playbook. You know,
right?
So those kind of things, that's why you have to read and stay on Twitter and read all those articles, and that's when you start to hear and understand what's going on in camp. So when you're making decisions about drafting, well, if he picks up the playbook, he's a prolific number 2. But right now he's sitting at 3 because of where he's at, you know, with his studying. So, you know, all those things matter. You know, all those things are important when you're looking at wide receivers, because really, like we said earlier, it's a week-to-week game with wide receivers. Except for top tier 1, once you get past that, it's week to week.
Yeah, you gotta figure out who you're starting that week. You know, you'll have your for sure guy, and then the rest of that lineup is like, who should I start? You know, which guy am I playing? What's the matchup?
So that's our tiers for the wide receivers for this year. You know, tier 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so we'll take us now to our sleepers. So once again, remind you, sleepers, when we look at this, is players that we feel are being drafted lower than where they'll end up at the end of the year. So our wide receivers, sleepers this year, which, you know, Scotty had talked about already, you know, is Juju Smith.
Right. You know, with the jinx or the curse or whatever you want to call it, men. And Juju is just a talented guy. I mean, that guy is awesome to see play. And without a doubt, he's going to have a fantastic year. And, you know, he's definitely, you know, being the 25th player off the board, he's definitely going to perform in the top 20, if not even, you know, top 10.
The next guy that I want to talk about, really, he's in Northern Illinois University graduate. You know, he's one of those guys that is stuck around and really is going to have a truly great career in this league. You know, it's Kenny Galladay. You know, he's on the Detroit Lions, which is a pass-first team.
Yeah, Stafford over there.
I mean, I can remember the last time that they've had a 100-yard running back. I mean, in the game. I mean, it just doesn't happen.
Is it Barry?
I know, right? It's been a while. They're definitely a running back by committee. Whenever you hear that, target the wide receivers. If you're a running back by committee, there's a reason for that. And 9 times out of 10, that means their wide receivers are going to play better than most because of that. So we feel that right now, him being drafted as the 47th wide receiver off the board is way too low for where he'll end up at the end of the year. And like I said, all those variables matter. You know, pass first. Well, look at those guys.
Yep. Stafford throws a lot of yards.
He does. You know, it's going to take us to this next guy. We actually are familiar with our third sleeper for this year. He's on New Orleans right now. You know, obviously he was a Bear back in the day.
Right.
And he's number 3 right now on this team. But he could easily jump up and be, you know, 2 or 1.
He walked onto our team. I mean, he was undrafted. Bears.
That's right.
Bears had him on their practice squad, and then eventually got in the roster, and he eventually became our number 1 receiver. And the guy's talent. He's huge, big size, perfect target. You know, and you got Drew Brees throwing to him. This is an easy one for he's probably going to be the biggest sleeper of them all to be, you know, being drafted 54th. This guy can easily be your number 2, number 1 receiver by the end of the year.
So that's what our sleepers are for this year, wide receiver wise. And of course, busts. That's again where we feel players are being drafted way too high for where they feel that they're going to. We feel that they're going to end up at the end of the year as far as wide receivers are concerned. And of course, you know, we talked about him over and over.
Yeah.
You know, he's up there. He's the number 1 wide receiver coming off the board. I just feel there's too many things going against this guy where I don't see him being the number 1 wide receiver at the end of the year for many reasons.
Yeah.
And so our next busts, and not that these guys won't be solid, like they'll be really, really solid number 2s for you.
I still see him in the top 20, 25 maybe, but...
See, I feel like one of them will end up in the top 20.
You're probably right.
And one of them won't.
You're probably right.
And the thing is, it could be either one because they're
they're
both that good.
Do you pick the right one? Which one?
Right. To me, it doesn't matter if they're available there. I'll take one or the other. I don't really care because the upside on these guys is huge. And I'll take that gamble any day on a
Right.
wide receiver.
Right, and if he's going to be your number 2, for sure. You know, if you decide to go wide receiver strategy and draft 2 wide receivers early, and that one of these guys is there for your number 2, take him.
Yeah, definitely take him. But like we said, just got to do your research and, decide where you want to put these guys. We've obviously knocked them down in our numbers.
Right.
Not because of their talent, just because of they're both too good in that sense, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about here when we talk about busts, folks. All right. So then that takes us to Scotty gets the final word.
All right. We're talking fantasy, and what's the best part of fantasy? At least I think is the draft party. Ain't that the best, man? You get to show up, all your boys, talk all your junk, and drink a few beers, and draft your team, your dynasty. So it's all about having fun, like Mikey was saying earlier, and that's, to me, was always my favorite part, and still is the draft. The draft party is basically going in there with your books. Usually you got a bunch of chicken wings and beer for everyone, and so just enjoy your party. Make sure you're prepared, and don't be that guy that shows up to the draft. Can I borrow your magazine? Can I borrow your cheat sheet? No. Can I borrow your pen? No. So, but yeah, have fun with it. So. Have a good fantasy year, and cheers.
Amen to that. Amen, Scotty. All right, folks, we'll appreciate you checking in with us this week again. Don't forget, next week we'll be out on 2 more episodes. We'll have our running back episode, and then we'll finish it up with our defense.
Kicker episode. No, just kidding.
We'll finish up with our kicker, our defense, and our tight end episode, which will be the final one for the fantasy. And then we'll get back to our regular programming, which we will shift our show to then drop it every Thursday morning, so we prepare you for the week for fantasy, obviously, to get ready for the Thursday night game, and then for Sunday and for Monday.
That's right.
So definitely look for that next week, and then the week after we'll get back to our normal programming. But don't worry, we'll definitely be checking in with fantasy football and football every week to take you through from there the next 17 weeks, and obviously through the playoffs and then to the Super Bowl as well. But once again, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, and wherever else you want to follow us on. If everything works out, the website will be up this week. If not, it will definitely be up next week, so you'll be able to check us out there. And that means that our podcast will then be available audio on our website, as well as looking to put it on Apple, iTunes, on Google Play, Spotify, SoundCloud, and anywhere else we can get out there. We're going to put it out there for you to find. We definitely want to get this information to you. So once you listen to it, then comment back. We want to know, what do you want us to talk about? Not talk about.
Yeah.
Are we think we're a bunch of idiots or a bunch of fools? We know what we're talking about. We want to know. We want to hear from you.
Yeah.
So definitely interact and let us know, because it's social media. So let's be social, folks.
Yes.
Definitely. And of course, as always, we appreciate you listening and watching. As always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
Yeah.
Don't forget, click that bell.
Notifications.
Gotta know when the episode's coming out. And tell a friend. Find that guru, and if that guru is over here at SNM Sportz, we'll be here for you all season long, folks.
Yep.
All right, Scotty.
All right, you know what time it is, Mike?
Let's
go!
And cut!
That was perfect.